Welcome back to Squarely on the Level. My name is Darren Kellerman, and I'm working in conjunction with the Grand Lodge of Kansas. This week we have a special 2-upload episode. This first portion that you're watching now is an interview portion, and the second segment is a tour of the Grand Lodge of Kansas. Hopefully you followed social media this past week and you know what I'm talking about. If not, just watch and you'll figure it out. Before we get into the interview segment, let me just tell you, I recorded this during business hours at the Grand Lodge, and it's always busy up there. The air conditioner was going, so you can hear that buzzing in the background. Also, you can hear the telephone ring, as well as the security buzzer. People coming and going all the time at the Grand Lodge of Kansas building in Topeka. Something interesting you may have noticed when you go there, for those of you who have been to the Grand Lodge, there's a bunch of parking stalls on the east side of the Grand Lodge building. The first stall is reserved for the Grand Master, the second for the Grand Secretary, and the third for Chuck. Chuck must be a pretty important guy. Well, after 45 years, Chuck is retiring. And I wanted to sit down and ask Chuck a few questions because he's been there so long, he's got some secrets, and I just wanted to find them out. So I hope you enjoy this week's 2-part episode. So join me as I talk to Chuck Hoffmeister, 90 years of age, served the Grand Lodge of Kansas as an employee for 45 years. Here we go. All right, and here we have a very unusual sight. This is a desk space that is not often used, or we don't often see this guy sitting in this spot because he's always doing other things. But here he is, the figure most people don't know much about, but he has been an integral part of the history of the Grand Lodge of Kansas for 45 years. It is Brother Chuck Hoffmeister. I don't know if your official title is the Grand Lodge caretaker, but it definitely is. Chuck, it is good to see you, my friend.
Thank you, most worshipful sir.
So today is essentially your last day at work, is what they're telling me.
Well, yeah, they're going to try to get some work out of me tomorrow too.
So everybody knows the Grand Master and the Grand Secretary, but we've seen outside you have the number 3 parking spot out there, very prestigious parking spot. And they tell me you've been here since, when did you start with the Grand Lodge?
1975.
1975. How did that come to pass that you started working for the Grand Lodge?
I had a business of my own, and it was cleaning and taking care of buildings and so forth. And Brother Al, Right Worshipful Al, and Dave Recob was assistant secretary, and Al was the secretary. And they wanted to know if I'd take care of the walks outside in the winter, and if I would take care of the grass in the summer. And I did that, and then we got into a little light maintenance work here in the building. And then I retired from my company in '62, when I was 62, and I was asked to stay on to help take care of the building. So that's what I've been doing.
So you've stayed on a few years.
Yeah.
That's so much for retirement.
More than this. Yeah, this is my second retirement.
Goodness. As we're recording this, how old are you today?
Was 90 June 9.
90. And you work dang near every day here at the Grand Lodge building.
Yeah, it's been half-time, part-time. I come in at 6 in the morning and work until 10 normally.
So it is 6, because I'm not sure that a Grand Master has ever actually caught you here at the building. You're always in, and you make this building sparkle, and then you're gone, and we never get to see you often. It's just like magic.
Well, I have a friend that comes in, and he sells us supplies, and he also helps me keep it that way.
So the big secret that I want to know about, and there's probably 45 other Grand Masters, or 44 want to know about, is when do you change that Grand Master's picture out there? Because I myself have been here the night before the installation, and it is the current Grand Master. And then I've been down here right after the new Grand Master's installed, and the new picture is already up. And I've seen you at the end of communication, so how do you get that picture changed so dang quick?
I change it so that when the new Grandmaster comes down, it's there. So we change it. We don't always get it up in the Rogues Gallery right away, but we do change the one out front.
Now, I do recall there's been a Grandmaster or two that did not get his picture here on time. Any idea what happens when that occurs?
Well, it's a picture of a mule.
A picture of a mule. Have you ever caught any feedback from that or heat from that at all?
No, we've had some fun with it, and I didn't want to push it too far.
I would say the respect you have in the craft, there's probably no other position that a person could explicitly make a poke at the Grandmaster and get away with it. But the respect that the Grandmasters have for you, I think, speaks volumes when that happens.
Thank you.
So, and it's just a sign of, it's just so wonderful that the fellowship that the Masons of Kansas have, that kind of thing can happen.
Well, it's a wonderful organization. You got to have a little fun along with it.
So since you started here in 1974, what are some of the changes you've seen in the building itself?
Well, at one time, this wall over here was full of those green file cabinets. And then when we changed over to the gray file cabinets that are there now, we tore that apart and took half of it out and put these in, and then there was those card files up on the balcony were here. And we spent time taking drawer out by drawer and moving them up in the balcony and putting them back.
Has the building always been air conditioned?
As far as I know, this business area here on the first level has been, and all the rest of them we've had to put in window air conditioners.
I've read some of the building's history about that the Grand Master, Grand Secretary used to live in the building. Did you ever see that apartment or anything when you were here?
The only thing I seen was that when Most Worshipful Bob Arnold was Grand Master, he fixed up a bedroom up on the second floor there for he can stay overnight, not have to drive clear down to Kansas, and then come back the next morning. So sometimes he'd stay here. We had a shower in the basement, make-up shower, and that's the only one I know of. I don't know of an apartment being in here, but there could have been.
Yeah, that's just what the kind of hand-me-down stories have been, and that's the first I've actually heard of an actual Grandmaster's name being told, so I'm glad I asked you that today. So what other secrets about Grand Lodge can you tell us that we don't know about? We know you've worked for, they say, 45 Grandmasters,
Yeah.
and survived 5 Grand Secretaries.
Main changes like the mechanical room downstairs where the boiler is. We've had to put in a new boiler because, well, we put in one boiler because we used to be on the city boiler, which was at 7th and Van Buren. And they supplied steam to downtown and to us and a few others. And then when they tore the building down, we had to put in our own steam boiler. And we're on our second steam boiler. The other one kind of gave up on us.
Has there been anything unique happen here that you've been a part of in this building? So we don't know a lot, because not a lot of Masons get to come here to Topeka to see this. And
basically, the building has been the same structurally and interior-wise. We've made a few changes with the rooms and what they are and what they were. I had tried to add more space for offices while taking vacant rooms and making offices out of them. But really, there's been no big change as far as the inside of the building. We have taken and dug around the building, the east side, south side, west side, and dug down and recoated the outside walls for waterproofing, and put in tile and sump pumps so that we could dispense the water that got in there.
Director Alex Powers of the Kansas Lodge of Research, he would want me to ask you this question, so I'm going to ask it. With all the history in this building, have you ever noticed any spiritual things of like past Grand Masters or past Masons? And this building's got a lot of history. And you work at the hours when nobody else is here, so you would know better than anybody else if there's stuff going on after hours.
Not that I'm aware of. I have heard that, and I have been down here at night and been down during the weekends. And there's a lot of creaking and so forth going on, but that's, I think, in the water pipes and in the heating system. It gets kind of peculiar, but I'm not aware of anything.
Is there anything you'd like to share about your time here or about Freemasonry in general?
I worked with D. Malays for many years, and my daughter was wanting to go into Job's Daughters. And so finally in the 80s, because she wanted in, I joined the Masonry. And it was in the building was at 10th in Van Buren, which is now the Judicial Building. And that was heartbreaking. I was downtown at 10th in Kansas when they imploded it. And I tell you, tears come to my eyes because I've been working with D. Malays there, Job's Daughters, and D. Malays. And that's where all my beginning was. And so another thing now is that this building has been sold, and I'm upset by it because not so many years here, and it's like a second home. And so I know things have to change. I'm 9 years old, and I don't like changes, but
You say that as you sit there with your smartphone and an earpiece in.
yeah, that's so that I'm trying to learn. I'm still just trying to learn, and when it rings, I can answer it by touching a button on the earpiece and still keep on driving or doing whatever I'm doing.
Because so many of our members, as they age, seem to be somewhat threatened by technology, but here you are at 90 plus years of age and you are using modern technology. I mean, you have a computer behind you, all sorts of stuff.
Well, sometimes the job requires it.
So regarding the building, now we know back in 2015, 2016, the craft wanted to stay in the building, and finances and stuff have kind of led to some stuff. But almost as soon as you announced that you're going to be retiring this year, they also announced that they're going to be moving to a new building. Do you think that's a reflection?
I hope not. But
because speaking for myself and a lot of the guys around here, I don't know that there's anybody that could even attempt to replace you that could take care of this building like you have.
well, thank you very kindly. It's quite an honor. But I don't think anybody's ever unreplaceable. I think that sometimes it may be difficult to find the right person, but everybody can be replaced. whatever they do. And I like to feel that way. I keep some things, like the kid was working with Tracy, that he'll ask me, well, what's so-and-so and so-and-so? And I'll say, job security.
So when they do finally move to a new building, are you going to be able to come over and help us out, get started, and get things in order for us?
That we'll have to wait and see. Having some health issues right now, and so I'm going to take some time off and for me and go feed the fish.
So you've given Grand Lodge tours. So you started here in '74, and you were only a 5-year Mason then. That's what it looks like. You became a Mason in '69. Is that right?
69, yeah. I hopefully get my 50-year pin this year.
So you've been giving tours of this building for many, many years. There's a lot of folks around Kansas who have still never been to the Grand Lodge of Kansas. So I'm having an emotional moment here. I was asking Chuck if he would be so kind as to give us one last tour before he leaves, and I was just overcome for some reason, and I don't know why. Just thinking about all the people who haven't been to the building and haven't met this guy, and it just hit me. And of course, Nancy over the telephone, I look over at her, and apparently I got her too. And then I lean in front of the camera here and to get a Kleenex, and it focused on the back of my big melon. And that was into that. And we're fuzzy as we end this interview. And so apologize for that, but again, Masonry just affects so many people in different ways, and apparently it affects my ductwork. And I don't know how that happens sometimes. It just sneaks up on me, and bam, it does. So there's a lot of people that haven't been to the Grand Lodge of Kansas. And I would just ask, one last time, or for many of the people watching for the first time, would you give us a tour? I don't want to call it your building, but the Grand Lodge building or the building of Kansas Masons. Would you give us that tour today?
I'll do my best, and it'll be my pleasure.